So the next one is about reproductive system. Reproduction is very important for the survival of species. So if the previous generations of humans did not produce offspring, then maybe we would not be here by now. Organisms may reproduce sexually, requiring the union of gametes, or asexually. So us human beings, we reproduce sexually. So in line with that, so we need gametes. Also, there is an involvement of gametes. So how do we produce those gametes? So through our reproductive system. So the first one, I'll be discussing about the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system includes the sex organs or genitals. So, they are situated both inside and outside the body. So, kapag outside, we call that as external genitalia. Kapag naman inside, internal genitalia. But then, here, for male reproductive system, we generally classify only two external genitalia or two external parts. The penis or penis. So, kahit anong pronunciation is accepted naman. So, for the penis, we have there the shaft. So, shaft is yung kabuuan niya. Pagkatapos ng base, so ito yung shaft. And then, after that, we also have the glans. So, the glans is considered to be the head, and it contains many nerve endings. So, ito yung ating glans. That's the glans of the males. It has many nerve endings that makes it extremely sensitive to touch and other forms of stimulation. So at birth, there is a foreskin or prepuce na tinatawag. So that prepuce is being surgically removed during circumcision. So ito yung foreskin. So, dyan sa foreskin na yan, yung may prepuce dyan at birth, ayun. So, tinatanggal siya in circumcision. Then, the next is the urethra or the urethral opening. So, yung urethral opening, yun yung external. But then, the urethra itself, yung dito, yung daanan ng urine or the semen. So, the urethra, it is an 8 to 9 inch tube that originates inside the male's body and ends at the head of the penis. It serves as a common passageway for the urine and semen. So, when the penis is excited and erect, or it is aroused, so the flow of urine is being blocked from the urethra. Instead, ang lumalabas, allowing only the semen to be released. And then the second external genitalia is the scrotum. So the scrotum, so hindi lang kita dito kasi naka-anterior view or naka-front view tayo. So the scrotum is a pouch-like structure that hangs behind the penis. It holds and protects the testes. It also contains numerous nerves and blood vessels, and it regulates the temperature that the testes must have. Ayan. So, during times of lower temperature, the muscle contracts and pulls the scrotum closer to the body, giving it a wrinkled appearance. Okay, so that is for the external genitalia. For the internal genitalia, so we have first the testes. If it is singular in form, testes. Ayan. It is also known as testicles or the male gonads. So the organs that produce ito, sperm cell and the hormone which is testosterone. Okay, so they are egg-shaped structures that grow to be about 1 inch long and rest inside the scrotum. So ito yung scrotum. And then this is the testes. So sa kabila yung isang testis. So kapag dalawa, testes yun. Okay. Next, the testes also produces yon sinabi ko kanina, which is testosterone, which stimulates the production of the sperm cell and facilitates male maturation. So, an average production of sperm cell of an adult male is about several millions every day. Ayan, so marami talaga sila. Sperm cells also develop in the testes within the tubes. So, ang tubes natin dito is the seminiferous tubules. Ayan. When a male baby is born, yung tubules only contain simple or rounded cells. During puberty, yung testosterone and other hormones cause that single round cells to divide. And then, they develop and change until they become thin with a head and short tail. So, looks like tadpoles. So, yun, nagiging adult sperm cell na siya, in which it contains the head and the tail. So, the tail for motility of the sperm. Next part, we have here the epididymis. So, the epididymis, the sperm cell produced in the seminiferous tube. So, after nitong tubules, pumupunta siya sa epididymis. So, these are a set of coiled tubes that lie on the backside of each testis and stay there for about 20 days until they mature. So, doon sila nagmamature inside the epididymis. So, dito yon yung development of the sperm cell. Next, it will be forced during a sexual arousal. The epididymis will contract and then it will be forced into the vas deferens, also known as the sperm duct. So, kapag aroused, so it will be pushed yung sperm cell dito sa vas deferens. So, ito yon yung vas deferens. And then, the vas deferens is approximately 17 inches long. That starts from, ayun nga, epididymis. Ayan. And then, the males sometimes undergo vasectomy. So, it's a surgical procedure wherein they alter the vas deferens to render the male sterile. Ayan. So, undergo pa rin ng ejaculation yung males. Pero hindi na sila naglalabas ng sperm cell kasi nag-undergo na ng vasectomy. Or pinutol na yung, tawag dito, yung supply or yung tube galing dito sa testis. Ayan. So, dito yun sa vas deferens. Pinuputol na siya para hindi na makalabas yung sperm. Okay. The next one, we have accessory glands, 3 accessory glands, the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and the bulbourethral gland or Cowper's glands. So, ano ba yung function ng tatlo? So, for the first one, seminal vesicle. So, after dito sa vas deferens, ito yung seminal vesicle. So, what does it do? These are sac-like structures attached to the vas deferens at one side of the bladder, and they produce a sticky yellowish fluid, and it contains fructose or fruit sugar. So, yun yung fructose. This fluid provides the sperm cell energy and aids in motility. So, meron siyang sticky substance or the semen itself. Yun. It is, the next one is the prostate gland. So, yun yung seminal vesicles producing sticky fluid. Next is the prostate gland. It surrounds the ejaculatory ducts at the base of the urethra, just below, ayan, the bladder. So, ito yung urinary bladder. And then we have here the prostate gland. Ito yon. So, the sperm cells are carried to the prostate where they mix with the fluid produced by the seminal vesicles. So, kung makikita nyo dito, ito yung seminal vesicle. Meron siyang ejaculatory duct. Maghahalo yun, mahahaluan yung prostate nung fluid. Next, yung pinagsamang seminal fluid and prostate fluid, ayun na yung tinatawag na semen. Okay, so prostate gland produces prostate fluid. So, nandito lang siya. Seminal vesicle produces seminal fluids. Pag pinagsama yung dalawa, it's known as the semen. Of course, with the sperm cell. So, each milliliter of semen contains about 100 million sperm cells. So, the semen is expelled from the body through the urethra inside the penis. So, this process is known as ejaculation. Next, that we have accessory gland is the bulbourethral gland or the Cowper's gland. These are two small glands located on the sides of the urethra just below the prostate gland. So, we have here the prostate gland and then the urethra, ito yon. So, nasaan yung bulbourethral? So, ito siya. Between the prostate gland and the urethra. So, ano naman yung ginagawa ng bulbourethral gland? Ano yung function niya? So, this produces a clear, slippery fluid that empties directly into the urethra. This fluid lubricates and neutralizes the urethra from any acidic condition that might be present to the residual drops of urine. So, in order to prevent acidic environment, so nagsisecrete si bulbourethral gland ng fluid. Ayan. Okay. So, that is the parts of the external and internal genitalia of the male reproductive system. Okay. The next is the female reproductive system. So, unlike the male, most of the reproductive organs of a female are inside the body. So, the entire external genitalia of the female is called the vulva. So, kaya may nakalagay dyang vulva. So, other term for the whole external genitalia is the vulva. So, this includes the labia majora, labia minora, and the clitoris. So, we have here the labia majora. So, nasa pinaka-outer part. And flap-like structures, the labia minora, and the clitoris. So, we also have here yung urethra, the passageway for urine, the vagina, and the anus. Ayan. Pero hindi na siya part ng reproductive system ng female. Anus is part of the excretory system din. Next, we have here the parts of the female internal genitalia. So, for the internal genitalia, we have first the vagina. It is a tube about 4 to 5 inches long, and it connects the vulva to the uterus. It serves as a receptacle for the sperm cells during copulation or sexual intercourse na tinatawag, and it is a passageway for the infant during birth. So, we have here, ayan, the vagina. So, kapag naka-side view siya, ito yung illustration niya. So, we have here, first, the hymen. So, the covering of the vagina. Ito siya. It is a thin structure, yung hymen covering the vagina. Next part, we have the uterus or the bahay bata in Filipino. It is also referred to as a womb or the womb. It's the part of the it's the part where the fetus grows and develops inside the mother. And the uterus has walls, muscular walls, a thick smooth muscular wall. So, smooth muscle yung meron dun sa uterus. So, these smooth muscular walls are known as the myometrium, while the other one, which is the inner lining of the uterus, is known as the endometrium. Next that we have here is the cervix first. Ayan. So, wala siya dito, pero nandito siya sa illustration. So, the cervix is the connection between the vagina and the uterus. And ito yung nagdadilate or nag-o-open kapag ilalabas na yung baby. And when there is a menstrual cycle. So, nagdadilate din siya ng konti to allow the blood to pass through. So, ito yung cervix. Ayan. Next, we have the ovaries, which contains the egg cells. So, for each side, so merong dalawang ovary dyan. A female ovary contains thousands of immature egg cells formed even before she was born. The egg cells are only about the tiny size or tiny grain of sand. So during puberty, the egg cells will begin to mature and released from the ovary. So this also produces hormones which are known as estrogen and progesterone. Next, fallopian tubes, also known as the oviducts. So ito naman yung fallopian tube. So, it is a passageway for the egg cell from the ovary papunta sa uterus. So, the inner lining of the fallopian tube, meron niyang cilia. Okay, so tiny hair-like structures that helps the egg to propel to the uterus. So, for the mobility or motility of the egg, so kailangan niya ng cilia. So, para makapunta siya doon sa uterus. Okay, so that's it for the external and internal parts of the female and the male reproductive system.